This next releasing exercise is for the upper back. So here you can put a soft ball, a cushion, a rolled up blanket, not too high, underneath your upper back. If you're using a blanket, it's helpful to put it lengthways so that it follows the line of your spine. It's probably helpful for most people to have a block under their head or a book. Something harder gives you a bit more feedback, though you can use a cushion, of course, if you wish. If you're using two balls, which is another option, going to see if we can get them either side of the spine, so there might be a bit of wriggling to do. If you've got a sort of fairly hard ball, it's not going to be very comfortable to have it, your spine resting directly on it. So something softer, or if you've got two small hard balls either side of your spine. Between your shoulder blades, if possible, or maybe just below your shoulder blades, basically supporting your rib cage, the thoracic part of your back. It's the official term, the thorax, the rib cage, and the thoracic spine, the part of your spine that runs along your back of your ribs. So you can roll onto whatever you're using, and then you might need to shuffle about a bit to either get the one ball or the rolled up blanket in the center, or the two small balls either side of your spine. Checking that your head is not dropping back too far. What is too far? It's if it feels uncomfortable, it feels like your throat becomes kind of overstretched the front of your neck so you can't breathe. If you start to feel dizzy, that might be a sign that you're bending your neck a bit too far for too long, because we'll be here for a while, can cause a bit of dizziness. So if that's the case, add something else under your head. This is about the thoracic spine, not the neck. We're doing something for the neck in a different exercise. Then you can see if you can comfortably place your elbows on the floor and your hands on your ribs, quite wide apart, so the heels of your hands are touching on the side ribs, if possible, and your fingers on the front. If that is uncomfortable for your wrists, you could turn the backs of your hands to the ribs. I like keeping my knees bent in this because it does already create a bit of a curve in my lower back, and for you it might be more comfortable to straighten. See what works for you. You can always use a smaller blanket, have less air in the ball if it feels like you're lifted too much in the chest. This is very helpful potentially for tension that we hold around the rib cage, which can be related to all kinds of patterns in the body again, postural patterns, bending over a lot, old injuries around the shoulders, lung conditions, COVID or other chest infections, asthma. We don't even need to know why necessarily. We can work with it without knowing the cause. So we can start off by noticing our breath, and again settling on the ball. We're letting our weight go over the ball, letting the head release, encouraging the breastbone to release down as we exhale. You could place a hand on different places on the center of your chest, along the breastbone, and as you exhale, gently press down to encourage this letting go. Always being gentle. This is not about doing anything in a pushy way or a hard way. It's about encouraging. You can gently press down along the line of the base of your ribs, the side ribs as you exhale. Releasing the pressure on the inhale so your lungs can bellow out a bit more. And then we can move the hands around the side ribs. So we're moving essentially the skin and the connective tissue that sits around the ribs. Massaging to some extent the intercostal muscles in between the ribs. That will be stuck to the connective tissue around there as well. You can move your hands across in a hugging gesture and massage along the side, below your armpits. And if you find anywhere where it feels tight, where this feels particularly helpful or pleasant, you might stay there for a while. Aware of your breath as you do this and breathing in to expand, breathing out to let go. And then if it's comfortable, again, don't do anything you don't want to do or anything that feels uncomfortable. You can have a bit of a wriggle around. You can move your arms to different places, stretch them, move them onto the floor behind you. It can be asymmetrical. Maybe imagining how animals sometimes roll on the floor, especially if they're molting, to kind of get rid of the hair on their backs, or if they're maybe itchy on their backs. So wriggling around, rolling around if you're using a ball. And then you could do this for quite a while. You could move the ball up or down, discover your back, discover where this feels good. You could do it standing against the wall. You could have a ball between your back and the wall and do this whilst moving in an upright position. It would be less pressure then, so a bit more control that way. And then coming back to stillness. Breathing out, letting go. And removing the ball, rolling onto one side or whatever you were using. Take it away from under you, putting it to one side. Again, notice how your back is. You could remove your block as well if it's more natural for you to let your head rest on the ground. Breathing out, settling again onto the floor. How does your back feel before and after? Mapping what changes. integrate what we're learning about our body. If your knees are straight, bend them for a few breaths as well, or the other way around. Perhaps you're breathing a bit differently too. All the ways in which we hold rigidity in the thorax, in the back muscles, can affect our breathing. So if you have problems with your breathing, or you're recovering from COVID, or you have tension in these areas of your body and pain, I really recommend doing these on a regular basis, even if it's just for a few minutes, and perhaps doing them briefly throughout your day. You don't necessarily have to lie down, you can do it standing against the wall. Paying attention, being aware, noting if it helps, and if it's helping and we're noticing, we're more likely to do more of it, and we're also registering, I can feel better in my body, which can be really heartening and encouraging.